The second question, what is the one great matter of life and death exactly? Is it the fear, anxiety, and denial we have of our limited existence? Why do I have to die? Why do I not live forever? And does it have anything to do with needing to find a purpose in life? This is the second question. The one great matter, or the one great matter of life and death, is the basis of Buddhism and of Buddhist practice. There's a little book called Great Doubt, which Milan can turn you on to if you're interested there. It goes into detail what it is and what it isn't and so forth. But really, simply open up to what is under your own feet. That's where it is. It's nowhere else. Unless it opens up under your own feet, it is not the one great matter. Surely you can find hints in the literature, for example, over and over in the Chinese Zen tradition, where monks, nuns, and lay people have spoken frankly about their experience. They have said, often, for example, someone dies in their family. Maybe they're still a child, but all of a sudden they are hit, they are struck. Not only Granny or my mom, but me too. When I was born, where did I come from? And when I die, where will I go? This comes to be an all-consuming question for them, something that they cannot get away from. You see, so the idea of, do we need to have focus? How do we get one pointed? Well, I can assure you, when you open up to this doubt, there is nothing else. But the real point is not birth and death so much as right here and now. Do you really know who and what you are here and now? Well, I would say you do and you don't. You are split. That's why practice is necessary. Once again, this, I know it sounds rather pompous, one great matter of birth and death, or life and death, it's the same. It can sound rather pompous, but it is not. It is not. Look under your own feet. What do you really know? Are you going to be alive tomorrow? I certainly hope so, but I can't guarantee it. Can you? Is this abstract? No. If you stop running from what is under your feet, I assure you, the one great matter is self-evident. It is manifest. Simply stop running away from what is underfoot. I invite you to find it there. Three, you say be without self. To be with the other and for the other. Is there nothing of the self worthy of saving and living for? Or is the ultimate aim of practice other people oriented or other people directed? Again, this is a good question that I'm sure many other people also have. So I appreciate the courage of those who raised this question. Yes, as it came to me, I express it as being without self. Being without self, not just no self, nothing, gone. No, being without self. And of course, you all know in Buddhism, it's very basic, wisdom and compassion. Compassion for the other. It naturally comes out of the practice. But do we have to continually cut off anything that has anything to do with ourselves? Well, Who makes that distinction in the first place? Until that's clear, you will just go running and running around, chasing your tail, whether you call it self or other. It's kind of hard to get on planes nowadays, isn't it? But when you get on a plane, and I've gotten on my fair share, every time I've had to listen to, if the oxygen mask drops, please put on your own mask before helping others. Yes, of course. If you don't have your own mask on, you can't be a lot of help to others. Speaking of breathing, huh? This isn't selfishness, right? This is taking care of things here in front of you so that you can take care of things around you. Who makes that distinction? Make that clear and you can answer your own question. But certainly it's not just about cutting off any sense of self. No, don't take it too literally, please. When I leave the Zendo, I put on my shoes and not somebody else's. When I come home, I go into my house and not somebody else's. I would suggest you do the same thing. The fourth question. Can you talk about the everyday interactions of life and work and how one carries the practice of Zazen into their affairs? Doing what needs to be done is a very general statement, but how exactly does one do what needs to be done and minimize the discriminating mind when in fact discrimination is required to engage in many affairs of everyday life? It takes time and it takes patience. The further you sit and deepen the sitting, the further it starts to naturally show itself in the affairs of everyday life. I well remember myself wanting to escape from the difficulties, the frustrations of everyday life. Oh, it was so nice back on the cushion. Oh, this is just an escape. Now I can honestly say when I go out into the world, I just had to hand in my retirement papers. I'll be retiring at the end of this school year, completely stopping my work so that I can do this work. I mean, the work at the university. I just had to hand in the paperwork. That's a very serious thing in Japan. But I can honestly say now I look forward to those difficult occasions as opportunities to see where is my practice still lacking? Where am I still missing something? Where is my blind spot? I actually look forward. I'm not trying to create problems, you understand, but if something comes up like that, to really see it for the opportunity that it is, to humbly deepen your practice and see where you are lacking. So doing this takes time and patience and humility. But it's a very important, in a sense, it's at least as important as the work on the cushion, sitting on the cushion. You're talking about the need to discriminate in everyday life. I would say you don't need to discriminate, you need to discern. That is to clearly see what needs to be done. To discern is to, to see the not two-ness of the two. To discriminate is simply Humpty Dumpty trying to put the pieces back together again, and it never works. Of course, we do have to discriminate. Is that a red light or a green light? Yeah, I would suggest you keep your eye on that. In a business meeting or meeting with a friend who's having a problem, yes, if not discriminate, we need to be discerning, to be there with them and as them, and to sometimes say, yes. Sometimes say, no. Absolutely, but where does that come from? It comes from no place other than here, from right out of the practice. If you make it into, now I've finished sitting and I'm going to go and discriminate in my work, you've missed the point. You've missed the boat. Who makes that distinction? You have failed to make that clear. There is where I would urge you to dive in and see. Again, it takes time. It takes time. And it takes patience. And it takes humility. But you are lacking none of that. Huh? Please, please see it through, not just on the cushion, but in the challenges of everyday life. Otherwise, the practice is worthless, maybe even less than worthless. It becomes an escape. Don't be afraid of those occasions where you are challenged. There's where we can really humbly learn. The fourth and last question. Koan practice seems designed for a retreat type environment where immersion in samadhi is constant and the daily one-on-one pushes the practice and makes it more intense. What are some ways you use to continue this practice even when it is not possible to maintain the intensity of the retreat? Yes, the intensity of a retreat is really valuable. Anyone who has done it knows. Doing what we're doing right now, sitting solidly for a couple of hours together itself can be a great help. But then how to continue that in our daily life? This is somewhat connected with the question above. When you do a retreat or when you're sitting intensely, just give all of yourself there to that practice. If you can, forget the timer and just sit through. Just sit through. Then when the sitting is over, to return to one of the questions I failed to answer, do what needs to be done. I often say that, to get up and do what needs to be done. I know this can sound abstract, but it is not at all. What is abstract is sitting there thinking about it. When you do what needs to be done, there is no need to think about it. It is clear. You get up and you do what needs to be done. I can assure you, it is not a general statement. It is not general or abstract at all. What is abstract is the mind discriminating, trying to figure out what works for it. Huh? So here as well, to take that practice in a retreat or after intense sitting, and just to let that sitting stand, get up, and do what needs to be done. Face that challenge. Find yourself confused. Then what do you do? There is where the practice really takes off. Is it easy? Not always, but it's a wonderful, wonderful challenge, a chance to continue to hone and to sharpen our practice, to see into our own weaknesses and blind spots. Milan, thank you for hosting, and everyone, thank you for listening so intently and also for your questions. Milan, I hand it over to you. Thank you again, everyone.
Thanks, Jeff, for sharing your response to these questions. The recording started a little late, but we captured most of it. I'd like to open up the discussion to the group. I'll take everyone off mute. If anyone has anything further they'd like to ask or ask for clarification while we have Jeff here to respond, that would be great. Let me just take the participants off. Oh, you have to take yourselves off mute. I muted everyone. So if you have a question or comment from the practice, please feel free. Okay.
Since the last retreat, my meditation practice has deepened from some of your guidance, so I thank you for that. I'm meditating about an hour a day now every morning, but I'm finding, of course, I'm 69, so my knees aren't perfect, and I'm finding that the best way for me to do it is to meditate for about a half an hour in one position, and then get up and move around for 5 minutes, and then get back down to a different position. Is that okay? I mean, if that...
You're 69, it's fine. Just try to see that when you get up and do that, the practice doesn't stop. You're no longer sitting in that posture, but let that sitting get up, stretch a little, maybe go to the bathroom. I find I have to do that a lot more than I used to. Stretch for a moment so you're fresh, and then go back to sitting, but realize that it's not stopping the practice. You're changing your posture, but the practice does not simply stop or end. I mentioned in the video, I think you all saw the online thing about the importance of practice being constant and complete. So constant in the sense that, yes, sitting, but when you get up, if your body's aching, fine, get up, but get up as a part of the practice. Do you know what I mean, Colin?
Yeah, I do.
Not one thought of, I'm not doing the real thing. No. Let the sitting stand for a moment so that you can return fresh, without a gap, Okay, Colin?
Yeah, thank you.
I'm getting old myself.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. We'll continue sitting for another 28 minutes or so and then call it a night.